Bosonko, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. And here are the main local, international and sports news headlines. Every year, the 30th of July is World Day Against Human Trafficking in Persons, a United Nations commemoration dedicated to raising awareness and prevention. We hear how it was commemorated in Gambia this year. The first She Climate Change Fellowship has commenced in the Gambia, and it will empower 1,000 female climate change leaders across the country. We hear about a Quranic memorization boarding school in Kololi, which was engulfed by a fire on Friday afternoon, burning the entire building and destroying all materials. And in international news, the military junta in Guinea have agreed to cut the timeline of its planned transition to civilian rule from 3 to 2 years, according to the chair of ECOWAS, Guinea-Bissau President Umaru Sissoco Embalo. In sports news, action resumed for Gambia at Birmingham 2022 on the day 2 of the Commonwealth Games in boxing and swimming. Well, those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you for joining us, and I am Jenna Bosonko. You're watching QTV News. Now, every year, the 30th of July is World Day Against Human Trafficking in Persons, a United Nations commemoration dedicated to raising awareness and prevention of this gruesome act. This year, Ramotulai Jawara Sise, Executive Director of the National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, NATIP, calls on stakeholders and partners to join efforts to address the menace. Ajibinto Drame has the rest of that story.
This year, the day focuses on the role of technology as a tool that can both enable and impede human trafficking. With the global expansion in the use of technology, it has made it easier for traffickers to lure victims. People trafficking and modern-day slavery is a massive worldwide problem, with a very few countries immune to human trafficking. The Gambia is no exception to this. It serves as a source and destination for traffickers. And according to the U.S. Department of State's 2022 Trafficking in Persons report, placed the Gambia on the Tier 2 watch list, which means it considers not enough is being done to combat human trafficking, and government does not completely meet the minimum standards to eliminate trafficking. Ramotulai Jawara Sise, Executive Director of National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, NATIP, calls on stakeholders and partners to join efforts to address irregular migration and combat human trafficking.
Technology can also provide important opportunity to respond to the needs of victims and survivors, to enhance prosecutions and to aid investigations, to raise awareness and to lower the risk of trafficking in persons. Thus, it is essential to partner with technology companies to eradicate the menace of trafficking in persons in our society.
Every year, thousands of vulnerable men, women and children end up in the hand of traffickers through frivolous promises to have well-paid jobs and ended up being sold as slaves, sex workers or subjected to abuses and human rights abuses. Fatou Giobari, National Project Officer for United Nations on Drugs and Crime Agency, UNODC, says most human trafficking involves children and women, adding that stronger measures should be put into action to eliminate such inhumane acts.
According to data from the International Organization on Migration, IOM, also the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, 8 out of every 10 migrant children travel through the Mediterranean towards Europe. The pandemic of COVID that the world has seen, the world has been going through for almost 3 years, has not helped at all. On the contrary, it has increased the vulnerability of people already in precarious situations and has further exposed children to the risk of trafficking.
Amadou Ba, President of the Gambia Cyber Security Alliance, states that in the Gambia, most victims of human trafficking come from rural areas. He implores the public to be very cautious on using the internet and cyberspace.
When you're using the internet, don't talk to people that you don't know. Don't share your personal identifiable information with people you don't know. And try by all means and minimize the content that you put on the internet about yourself. Because, you know, traffickers, this is what they use. If they know more about you, they know how to get you.
Usman George Baji, Program Officer of IOM, the Gambia, urges people to refrain from irregular migration. IOM the Gambia, the UTG, victims, school children, U.S. Department of States, UNODC and NATIP commemorated the day with a march past proceeded along Keraba Avenue in Carnifing Municipality from traffic lights to the Westfield Youth Monument. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
From that, the first She Climate Change Fellowship has commenced in the Gambia. The fellowship is championed by a youth-led organization, Clean Earth Gambia. As a report, the fellowship will empower 1,000 female climate change leaders across the country. Initially, the fellowship will train 25 female fellows across the country in 5 months, combining knowledge, expertise and mentorship. As to why this training is only for women, women's vulnerability to climate change combines social, economic and cultural factors. 70% of the 1.3 billion people living in poverty are women. Women own less than 10% of land despite being the world's predominant food producers. Also, they are the highest users of natural resources for their livelihood. Clean Earth Gambia's She Climate Fellowship is motivated by some of these factors. Here's Amifai of Clean Earth Gambia and the She Fellowship Lead Coordinator.
She Climate Change Fellowship is a fellowship to build the capacity of women to be more resilient in the face of climate change. As we know, women are already at a disadvantaged side, and people who are already disadvantaged would be more disadvantaged in the face of crisis. So we deemed it necessary to have a group of women that we would be training in a course of a 5-month training, which we would be embarking on a rigorous training. We would be doing a lot of field work, a lot of class work, which we will be teaching them about issues concerning and pertaining to climate change. And we would also be going on the field and visiting farms and also embarking on a training with farm women so that when climate change hits, they would know the strategies that they would do to save themselves and their livelihood.
Keynote speaker Fatunde Gay started negotiating on climate change for the Gambia since 1999 and is currently the lead negotiator for the African Group on Gender. She gave tips to participants on how to understand climate change and further negotiate.
I want you to always consider what is at the level of the Climate Change Secretariat. Please read. Please be reading. When we started, that's what we did. We'll be reading because the convention is very important, and the Paris Agreement, which was adopted in 2015. Whatever documents that you have seen on climate change, please read them and take notes. And if you are involved in the negotiations, for example, when you go into a negotiation room, listen. The listening is very, very important.
The Gender Action Plan agreed by governments under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change calls for women's full, equal and meaningful participation in the international climate process and to ensure a prominent role for women in decision-making and in climate action. Now, this cannot be achieved without women's capacities being built. Georgia Saho, among the first batch of 25 She Climate Fellows, tells us more.
Something like this, because I've never really had women that were in the educational field that are at this level. So when I heard about the She Climate, I just thought this is something that I needed to be in so that I can have this bond with a woman, and also climate change is a passion that I have.
The United Nations says that what is now needed on gender-related matters is for countries to deliberate how they seek to achieve gender parity in local, national and international climate policy and decision-making roles. Furthermore, it is dangerous to exclude their voices and perspectives of more than 50% of the global population, namely females. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Sonko. Now, Ridwan Quranic Memorization Boarding School in Kololi was engulfed by a fire on Friday afternoon, burning the entire building and destroying all materials. More in this report by Alaji Fandeng Dabo.
According to the school's authorities, the cause of the fire is unknown. Speaking to QTV shortly after the fire was extinguished through the support from the neighbors and the fire and rescue service officials, Basamba Drame, the elder brother of the school's head teacher, explains how the news of the fire outbreak reached them.
Actually, what happened, we were praying at Masjid Ar-Rahma, Dipakunda, and after prayer, we were seated at the Imam's chamber when we got a call that, there is a fire outbreak that happened at the madrasa, Ridwan boarding school in Kololi. And we rushed immediately, and we found out that, it was very grave, and, the fire was too big. But Alhamdulillah, the firemen were here, and they tried to extinguish the fire, and they were successful in doing so. And we realized, there is not even an iota of an item, that was left.
Basamba Drame went on to explain that the boarding students have just started returning from their Tobaski holiday, only for this unfortunate and devastating fire to occur.
Indeed, right now, my brother, that is Muhammad Samba Firdausi, together with the whole community of the board of the madrasa, we all urging the general public, those in the diaspora and in the Gambia, the philanthropists, our businessmen, nothing is small.
The head teacher of Ridwan Quranic Memorization Boarding School, Mohammed Drame, explained further.
Karamo alhamdulillah nga ala tentu katun nimantu atore jimba jano nyina so mo atentu balete.
For the school, I thank Allah as no life was lost in the fire, but all the materials in the building perished. A few months ago, we renovated the whole building, so this fire outbreak is a great loss, as everything inside the building was burnt in the fire, including some cash. Abibaji, a neighbor, thanked the entire neighborhood for coming out to try to put out the fire.
It is clear that no item was saved from the fire, including the lunch that was cooked for the family. We are appealing for support from government, organizations, charitable foundations, philanthropists, and whosoever can give help to come and do so, as this place is a Quranic learning center, and anyone who gives help will be highly rewarded by Allah.
Ridwan Quranic Memorization Boarding School was established on the 20th September 2016. And at the time of the fire outbreak, the school hosted 50 boarding students on boarding and 100 day students. Anyone willing to support Ridwan Quranic Memorization Boarding School in Kololi can call QTV on 433-245 or email news@qtv.gm. For QTV News, Lamin Alaifandindabo.
Very unfortunate situation there. From that, we will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, the news continues.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Adama Barrow, will on Saturday, July 30th, lay the foundation stone for the construction of the University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology. The establishment of USET by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology sits positively within the government's educational transformation agenda aimed at providing quality and relevant tertiary and higher education to Gambians. To kickstart this USET charter, the Gambia is harnessing the gains of the ACE 1 project and the opportunities accorded by the World Bank in the ACE Impact to establish an emerging center of excellence on science, technology and engineering for entrepreneurship at the Gambia Technical Training Institute. This emerging center will deliver degree programs and serves as the first phase of the GTTI transformation into the University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Jenna Bosonko. Now, in promoting investment in culture, creative arts and traditional sports to enhance resilience against climate change in the local communities, Gainjoro, in partnership with the EU and Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, organized a 3-day capacity building training for handicraft artisans. Our regional reporter, Bakari Balde, tells us more.
The project aims to equip handicraft artisans with knowledge and skills to make and sell their own products within and outside the Gambia, especially in the EU markets. This will also help them communicate, market and digitize their products in the tourism industry. Fatou Saint Gay, founder and chief executive officer of Gay Euro Skills Academy, explained the significance of the project.
We've decided also in this project to open an Etsy market, which is an online platform that we will be selling the products and services of the handicraft people. If you go on our website, gainjoroskillsacademy.com, you'll see the project on there and also all what we're going to do. The Etsy platform will be launched very soon, and to enhance the capacity so that it can also be linked to that. The training is not just to train them to add more value or to design their products more beautifully, but also to train them on how to communicate, how to market, how to digitalize their products and services. With that, we have experts. We have experts in the handicraft. We also have an expert that will train them and support them with marketing, communication, branding, and digital marketing also to be able to take good pictures, resonate very well.
Pa Usman Boy from the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, said the training is timely and emphasized his organization's role in the project.
The other thing is we don't want to see this project to be like the other projects, like what they say, other projects. Projects will come and go and there will be no impact on the society or the people that were on the project. So as GCCI being the lead partner, we want to make sure that this project has a benefit and that it's going to continue to benefit everybody in the future. So that's all what we want to do. So I welcome everybody.
Phoenix Green, a creativity trainer, outlined the focus areas for the training and hope that it will pay dividend.
My parents raised me with this one thought: we are blessed to be a blessing. Not be blessed so that we can be bigger and better than everybody, but we're blessed to be a blessing. So I hope that my guiding us through creativity will help us rethink how we deliver products, how we create something for this other audience that helps us to be a blessing to the local community in an even bigger way.
Alhaji Yaya Jajusi, the chief of Jaro West, compliments the immense contribution of Gay Euro Skills Academy in the Lower River region and other parts of the country. He further urged participants to make the best use of the training. By the end of the training, participants are expected to identify 3 key products to be sold to local and international markets. The project is targeting training 200 artisans in various handicrafts within 3 years. Reporting for QTV News, I am Bakari Balde.
Brilliant initiative there. Now let's take a look at news beyond our borders. The military junta in Guinea have agreed to cut the timeline of its planned transition to civilian rule from 3 to 2 years, according to the chair of ECOWAS, Guinea-Bissau President Umaru Sissoco Embalo. The ECOWAS chairman made the revelation during a joint press conference with visiting French President Emmanuel Macron. More in this report by Ansumane Esonyasi.
The disclosure comes amidst violent protest over the junta's prolonged transition plan, which left at least 1 person dead. At the media briefing alongside French President Emmanuel Macron, Embalo revealed he recently met the military junta over their planned transition to democracy. He said he managed to convince Guinea's military government to shorten its timeline, telling reporters, "I was in Conakry with the President of the Commission of ECOWAS to make the military junta understand the decision of the Summit of Heads of State that the transition cannot exceed 24 months. They had proposed 36 months, but we succeeded in convincing them, he added. However, Usman Gaul Jallo, a minister and spokesperson for the transition government in Guinea, told reporters on Friday that neither the government nor the presidency confirmed this information about the duration of the transition in Guinea. Earlier on Thursday, clashes broke out between young demonstrators and the police in several areas seen as opposition strongholds in the capital, Conakry. Some of the protesters are reported to have suffered serious injuries. Last September, soldiers led by Colonel Mamadou Doumbouya overthrew President Alpha Condé, and in May, the military pledged to hand over power to elected civilians within 3 years. However, this was rejected by regional body ECOWAS, which suspended the country's membership to force the military junta expedite the transition process to civilian rule. Last week, West African mediators led by President Embalo, Gambian diplomat Omar Aliou Touré, who is the president of the ECOWAS Commission, and Benin's former president Thomas Boniai, the ECOWAS mediator for Guinea, all engaged the junta in talks. Earlier in July, ECOWAS leaders had met in Ghana's capital, Accra, to discuss transitions to civilian rule in Guinea, Mali and Burkina Faso, which together have undergone 4 coups since August 2020. The Guinean junta has been accused of violating fundamental rights and suppressing dissent. In May, it banned any public demonstrations that could be construed as threatening public order. But this did not stop the FNDC, who announced protest for June 23rd, but later called them off, indicating they were prepared to give the transitional government a chance and start dialogue. However, their patience snapped after a meeting with authorities that the FNDC slammed as a parody. It denounced the solitary and authoritarian conduct of the transition and its serious attacks on fundamental rights and freedoms. 3 FNDC leaders were arrested on July 5th, provoking violent demonstrations that were some of the first since the junta seized power. A formal announcement from the Guinean junta is awaited, indicating their agreement to reduce their transition timeline. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
From that story by Answane Sonyasi, now let's take a look at what is happening in the world of sports. Now, action has resumed for Gambia at the Birmingham 2022 on day 2 of the Commonwealth Games in boxing and swimming. Two swimmers and 1 boxer will compete in various venues across Birmingham. Our reporter Mamadou Gajaga is currently attending the Commonwealth Games and fast in this report.
It's going to be a day of action for the Gambia on the 31st on Sunday at the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games. Swimming. Ibrahim Osori Buaro is going to take part in the 100 meters freestyle, and as well as Omar Dabo will avenge the missed out that he had in the round of 16 of the 200 meters breaststroke. Another action for the Gambia is going to be in boxing in the 71 to 75 kilogram category. For the Baji will be in action against a South African. So it looks to be an action-packed day for the Gambia on Sunday the 31st, both in the water and also in the boxing ring.
Yeah, I have been preparing for a long time, like when I was back home, I've been doing a lot of stuff with my coach, and then here it's just, warming up, doing some little stuff, Yeah, I've already been prepared before coming here.
Your schedule is already out. Your opponent is a South African, Bongozo, in the middleweight round of 16 from the 71 to the 75 kilogram category. I know you've been into other competitions. You've been in Sierra Leone for a fight, all in preparation for this event. Are you in shape?
Yeah, I'm in good shape, 100%, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So come tomorrow, is it going to be a knockout, or it's going to be a tough one a little?
Yeah, because, like in boxing, always, like you want to fight with the best, to know, your capability and to know your performance, always. So this is what we want, and this is, what we do in our sport, boxing. And, I know my opponent, is a good boxer. No matter how good he is, I'm going to break him up. I'm 100% sure of that.
There you had it. The boxer is very much confident and very optimistic that he is going to win in a knockout round. But is that going to be the case? We will see what the action will tell us on Sunday in the boxing ring. Fode Baji against the South African. Well, reporting from the Birmingham Commonwealth Games, I am Umudu Gajaga for QTV News.
Umudu Gajaga there, looking good. Now, before we end this news bulletin, let's recap our main headlines. July is World Day Against Human Trafficking in Persons, a United Nations commemoration dedicated to raising awareness and prevention. We heard how it was commemorated in Gambia this year. The first She Climate Change Fellowship has commenced in the Gambia, and it will empower 1,000 female climate change leaders across the country. We heard about a Quranic memorization boarding school in Kololi, which was engulfed by a fire on Friday afternoon, burning the entire building and destroying all materials. And in international news, the military junta in Guinea have agreed to cut the timeline of its planned transition to civilian rule from 3 to 2 years, according to the chair of ECOWAS, Guinea-Bissau President Umaru Sissoco Embalo. And in sports news, action resumed for Gambia at the Birmingham 2022 Day 2 of the Commonwealth Games in boxing and swimming. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us tomorrow for the Weekend Review. Thanks for joining us.